Hi, everybody again. It appears that my computer is not really working today, so I'm just going to have to come on my phone and go live on my phone. Unfortunately, that means that I will not be able to go live on Instagram, but that is okay because a lot more of you that I know are on Facebook. So this is great. I don't know where I stopped. So I said happy Friday. Yes, and I was talking about, yes, I'm in a different spot right now. I am outside. I'm normally outside, but I'm actually grounding right now. So I've talked about this a lot, that grounding actually balances the electrons in your body, can decrease inflammation, can really help to support the central nervous system and just to help to calm you down. That is going to be actually super important with what we're talking about today. This is a topic that has come about, okay, so usually there's something relevant that I talk about throughout the week that has come up. And also it's National Wellness Month too, so this is very much going to fall into that category. And it has to do with hormones, particularly for women, progesterone. And yeah, we'll get the men in there too for testosterone. I've done a couple of talks about that, but today, so what happened this week that kind of sparked the inspiration behind this? I've talked to a couple of my clients and they were just not feeling it. They were feeling moody. They were feeling crashy. They were not feeling themselves. And really low energy and just malaise overall in general. Plus with those, there are also not great PMS symptoms either. For the guys, that can be a little hard for you to be around us. I completely understand that. And we have to expend a little bit more energy in order to stay patient. But there is a reason behind that. So what I'm going to be talking about today is helping you to balance your hormones naturally. Some of the nutrients that are important for balancing those hormones, I'm also going to educate you on what exactly these hormones do, why they're important. It's not only for reproductive function. This is also going to be very beneficial for athletic performance. It's going to be very beneficial for training. It's going to be very beneficial for working and being able to live your life. I mean, it's super, super important. So, that's basically the gist of what I'm going to be talking about. With that, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello. My name is Drew Mulvey. I call myself the Vitality Specialist. So under the Vitality Specialist, I have a Master's of Human Nutrition. I have a board certification from the ANA, the American Nutrition Association, which is very similar to dietetics, but uses more of the alternative care and integrative health route. I am also a certified integrative sports nutritionist, which basically merges the world of sports nutrition and functional medicine and integrative health. I apply those principles as well as applying functional nutrition, life coaching, and personal training to really help you to understand what the heck is going on in your body, why it's reacting the way that it is, and to help you to feel like you're more in control of not only your performance, but your health and your vitality, which is your vibrance. I mean, everybody wants to have a better quality of life and everybody wants to have energy. So with that, I do offer a free 1-hour strategy session if this has really resonated or has, if this really resonates with you today. I'd really love to hop on a call with you and kind of troubleshoot what's going on so we can start navigating you into the right, helping you to navigate the right path so you know where you're going and kind of starting to understand your body a little bit more. All right, so why is this important? Well, we'll start with estrogen and progesterone for the women. Estrogen and progesterone, they're elevated at different times during the month because there are different cycles for a woman. Now, estrogen is usually elevated, so here's day one. Estrogen is down and progesterone is down, then estrogen starts to come up. Then you have the mid time, which is about ovulation. That's usually when the egg drops. And then the estrogen goes down, and then progesterone comes up, and then about 3 days before your menses, the estrogen and the progesterone go up. Go down. So the estrogen, and that's what it looks like in the luteal phase. So first one's the follicular phase, there's the luteal phase. Now, we've talked about progesterone can potentially be catabolic, but progesterone is actually very, very important. If you do not have proper progesterone levels, you're not going to be ovulating properly. And for those that want to get pregnant, that's going to be very difficult to get pregnant because you need those progesterone levels. But it's also important for several other reasons. Progesterone helps to produce dopamine, and dopamine, it's not just the addiction neurotransmitter. You need it for focus, you need it for mood, you need it for proper sleep. There are so many different functions of dopamine, and progesterone helps to increase dopamine levels. It's also an anxiolytic. So if you don't have proper progesterone levels, then yeah, you might be a little bit of a basket case, and you might be a little bit jittery, and it could be very hard to be patient because you're a little bit more anxious. But it also helps on several other facets as well. So what's exactly happening, as I said, when you have low progesterone levels? Your energy levels are going to be low. You're going to be moody. You're probably not going to be sleeping well. With all of that, you're probably not even going to be performing well. So it's really important that you get those progesterone levels up. Plus, what can happen if the progesterone levels are lower, it can create something called estrogen dominance. So what the heck is that? Estrogen goes up, and then, as I said, there was that little curve when the progesterone goes up, that the estrogen goes up. If the progesterone is down, estrogen, yes, needs to be down for a little bit, because estrogen makes things grow. It's important. So estrogen is great for strength. It's great for our ability to be able to handle stress. It's great for decreasing LDL levels. It increases serotonin levels. But it increases bone strength. It's important for bone strength. It's important for your brain function, actually. If you're not producing enough estrogen, it's really hard to think. And I've been there before. But that's another story for another day. So estrogen, yes, it's needed. But the problem is when estrogen, there's a dominance, then that can create some really nasty PMS symptoms, and that can create the moodiness, that can create the cramps, the nausea, the sickness, and also that can lead to acne. Yep, totally had that when I was in high school. I had to deal with acne. So having that nice balance helps to keep your body in balance. Okay, so now with that, then there is testosterone. So for you guys too, testosterone, we know it's for bulking, right? Yes, it is responsible for that too, but it's responsible for your mood, responsible for your focus, responsible for your energy, responsible for your bone growth. I mean, it's responsible for so many things. So we have to be able to maintain those healthy testosterone levels. I did do a live about, when was it? A month and a half ago. So if you want to check out that live for the men, I did talk about testosterone levels, and I talked about growth hormone, especially after you turn 30, that the growth hormone and testosterone levels start to decrease. So it's really important that we start to support our body in a way that supports our hormonal balance. It's not just the buzzword hormonal balance. It's other facets. It's our whole entire lives. It's our ability to work. It's our ability to perform well on the field. It's our ability to be able to go out and have a good time and have a good quality of life. So it's super, super important that we have that balance too. So what are some things that can actually lead to lowered testosterone levels and lowered progesterone levels? Well, interestingly enough, I was reading, there's COVID and there's the flu, and it's such an inflammatory virus that what it does after, this happened to me and I've actually heard this from other people, is that they started A, getting spotting, and B, their cycle just got completely irregular for a little bit. Why is that? Because it's such an inflammatory virus that it can decrease progesterone. So basically, any sort of massive stressor on your body can stimulate the adrenals to produce a little bit more cortisol, and then progesterone and estrogen production start to go down, and cortisol starts to go up, and then you get really irregular cycles. So that would be the infection part. So having some sort of a sickness, extreme stress and trauma on your body produces a lot of the stress hormones, so that you're not producing progesterone and you're not producing estrogen properly. Really any sort of stressors. Actually, a main one that we're all facing is the exposure to EMF, or electromagnetic frequency. That's the blue light from your phones. That's just the emittance from the computers, from the telephone, from the TV. And it's even around us too, in the wires. That's an actual stressor on the body. In fact, there have been studies that have shown that exposure to EMF for long periods of time can actually increase white blood cell count. And that is your inflammation. So crazy, right? So that's definitely a stressor on your body. Other things that could be stressors: not eating enough and not eating properly. That is a really big thing now in the sports world. It's called RED-S, or relative energy deficiency in sport. There is a disordered eating pattern and anorexia. There's eating disorders, but then there are things that are unclassified where it's not necessarily intentional, but you're just not eating enough to be able to fuel the activities that you're doing. That can also be for entrepreneurs, and that can also be for most of us, especially when we're not taking care of ourselves and we're trying to take care of everybody else. That can definitely decrease your progesterone levels. Too much activity and too little activity can certainly contribute to that. In fact, when you're not exercising enough, you're not maintaining your lean body mass, which is responsible for your metabolism and insulin sensitivity, so blood glucose regulation or blood sugar regulation. You feel like crap if that's not regulated. I have to say that. And then you feel tired and moody after meals. You can get jittery sometimes. And your cells really don't like it either. It does. It can add to that inflammation. I kind of gave it away. It does increase inflammatory proteins too. And you just, overall, you feel really nasty. If you're overdoing it and underdoing it can actually, I talked about the mitochondria yesterday. It can actually damage the mitochondria. And we know from last week's discussion how important the mitochondria are for several different functions in our body. And that would be towards hormone production. It's not directly correlated, but it is, if you think about it, if you're not producing enough energy, your body's pretty much under stress and probably not thinking about producing hormones. So what are some of the things that we can do? I think I talked about what the... I talked about what they do, so I'll talk about, so if you feel like you're tired, you're moody, you're not sleeping well, you're getting sore, you're not performing well, you're not increasing each week with your training sessions, you're not able to focus, you feel like you're slowing down, it could be hormonal. And this also has to do with clearance of things out of your body. That's important because your hormones actually get cleared out of the body from your liver. And if they are not, then they start to recirculate, and that's where there are problems that arise later down. I talked about estrogen, things grow. Think about it. All right, so what are some of the things that we can do to help to support these hormones and to increase progesterone levels so that we have normal cycles, we're happy, we have less stress, we're focusing better, we're sleeping better, and overall we're performing better? Well, one of the things I have talked about a lot, and please, for those of you that are on any medications, you might have to run this by your doctor, and some of you that also, some autoimmune conditions, this can be contraindicated in, but maca powder. That's been a buzzword. Oh gosh, when did it come out? I want to say 10 years ago. Maca powder was known as this like performance enhancing compound or powder because it can increase stamina, but it's an adaptogen. An adaptogen helps your body to basically cope with the stressors that are being placed on it so that it doesn't go into hyperdrive, aka decreasing cortisol and potentially helping out your hormones. But maca powder in particular has compounds that actually can help to raise progesterone levels in particular. Yes, it can raise estrogen and progesterone levels, but progesterone levels, there is actually a supplement out there now that has a specific amount of maca powder that can support those that are in perimenopause and menopause where the progesterone levels start to tend to decrease. I've used that for, 10 10 years, I want to say. Now, here's the thing with the maca powder. You want to make sure that, yes, it's from Peru and it's organic and that you know the source of it, because some of the maca is traveling over to China and it's not really maca powder anymore. It can cause issues and have a lot of other things in it. So the purity is going to be important and the source is going to be important. So what you can do, I usually add that in the morning. I have my little cocoa drink or matcha, there we go, matcha drink. Actually it's combined, it's a cocoa and a matcha drink, and I put a little maca in there, so it's giving me a little bit of a boost, but it's also helping my body to cope with like that little boost and decreasing any sort of cortisol levels and increasing the stamina and supporting my hormones as well. That's particularly important too, which I've said, because I've heard some things in the past where it is, it's manipulated their cycle a little bit. If you know that you're going into the luteal phase, to have the maca during that time, so it's increasing the progesterone levels. That's what I would recommend. So some other nutrients to help support progesterone levels. Fish, omega-3 fatty acids. So the animal-based sources are going to be from fish, pretty much. That's EPA and DHA. So those are the most potent forms of the omega-3 fatty acids that are very anti-inflammatory. They decrease cortisol levels. They can help with recovery. They can help with brain health. They help with your heart. I mean, there are several studies out there that support the use of omega-3 fatty acids in whole body health in general. So if it does that, then second-handedly, it's going to be helping to increase progesterone and also support hormonal balance and hormone levels. Now, the studies that I saw, it was about 1,800 milligrams per day of fish oil. Here's the thing. The fish oil quality, there's a lot of fish oil out there. The quality is really going to matter because some of them can be laced with some heavy metals. There can be just other crap in it. So you want to make sure, A, that it's going to be refrigerated. That's super important. B, it's sourced from smaller fish. Why is that? Because the smaller fish have less mercury in them. And the mercury, I shouldn't say as we know, it's a heavy metal, and that can create inflammation. That can bind to several important minerals and nutrients that our body needs. So if we're not getting those minerals and nutrients, then of course our body's going to be under stress. That could also impact our liver's ability to be able to clear things out. So very important that you are getting a good fish oil supplement. Particularly, I use Metagenics, Omegagenics. I tried to put that together. I apologize. But there's some really great companies that have quality fish oil supplements. Integrative Health, Pure Encapsulation. So you know that you're getting quality if you're getting from them. But there's also other omega-3 fatty acids. So that's going to be in your flax, your chia, your hemp, your pumpkin seeds, and also your walnuts. Now, it's not going to be as potent as the EPA and DHA, but it's still going to decrease that inflammation. Plus, I have to say that the pumpkin seeds are a really good source of magnesium and zinc, which also help to support hormonal levels. Why is that? Well, magnesium helps with my gosh, there's several different pathways and reactions that magnesium actually contributes to, but it helps to support, wow, I was just going to say two different sentences and it just combined into one. Magnesium, what it does is it helps to decrease the load on the central nervous system, so it kind of helps to calm you down. That's usually why it's recommended to have that before sleep if you're having sleep issues. But magnesium also helps with preventing cramping. That's what potassium does too. And usually when you're in really high states of stress, magnesium tends to deplete. And zinc is very important for hormonal balance, particularly progesterone and estrogen. So zinc in particular, if you are low in zinc, that can also cause PMS symptoms. But zinc is also very important as an anti-inflammatory. It helps with production of hydrochloric acid so that we actually get our vitamins and minerals that we need and we're digesting our food. If we're not doing that, then we're not going to get those vitamins and minerals, and we're not going to be able to support the processes to even create the hormones, as well as clear out the hormones and other things that need to be cleared out of your body. So that in and of itself is going to be supportive. Usually low zinc levels can also be linked to acne, but here's the thing with zinc, if you go too high on it, that can also be linked to it too. So you want a happy medium. So incorporating some pumpkin seeds in there. Also, magnesium is going to be very beneficial for clearing things out of your body, and zinc is going to be important for clearing things out of your body. So you want to make sure that you have that in your nutrition plan. I know I keep alluding to the fact that you need to be loving your liver. It's super important. Okay. All right. So other nutrients that are going to be beneficial for increasing progesterone levels. Here's one that I was really excited to share. When I was talking to somebody this week, I was thinking, so I actually took a gut course and learned about like different strains of bacteria, and I was a biologist. I shouldn't say a biology. I was a biology major. One of my favorite classes was microbiology. So of course, I'm going to be really interested in the gut and really interested in the bacteria and what they do. So I thought, when you're under stress, your gut health, it can really affect your gut health. Transition. It can decrease stomach acid because it can also decrease the amount of zinc that's in your system. And then that in and of itself changes the pH in your stomach. So that can imbalance the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So when that happens, that can deplete, I shouldn't say deplete, but it can manipulate your serotonin levels. It can manipulate levels of short-chain fatty acids to help to keep your gut intact. It also can manipulate production of certain B vitamins. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Certain B vitamins are actually produced by the gut bacteria. But there are actually some strains that help to support indirectly the production of progesterone. Isn't that so cool? So particularly the lactobacillus species, and then there's some bifidobacterium species, one of them in particular, the lactobacillus acidophilus. That's going to be found in your fermented foods. So that's going to be found in your yogurts and non-dairy yogurts. It's going to be found in tofu and tempeh and kombucha and your sauerkraut, your kimchi, and any of your pickled vegetables. But you also need something too to be able to feed those probiotics, and that's fiber. Yes, there's certain prebiotic fibers that actually are direct fuel for those probiotics, and those can be found in apples, and it's apple season coming up. All right, it's still summer, so I won't go too much ahead, but still, apple season is coming up. They have prebiotic fibers. Bananas also have them. Onions and garlic and oats in particular have those prebiotic fibers. But incorporating those more lower glycemic foods, such as some of those lower glycemic fruits. It could be some of your low glycemic grains. And having that fiber not only helps to feed the beneficial bacteria, but it helps with clearance of compounds because you're not getting constipated. So that in and of itself is going to help to clear out if estrogen keeps circulating, because when you get backed up, estrogen tends to circulate, and that's when things can go haywire in your body and cause a lot more stress. That's also where you're seeing weight loss resistance. That's where you're seeing just malaise in general, brain fog, just all of the symptoms pretty much that I talked about. All right, so those are the main things some of the main things. There are several other nutrients that help to supports progesterone levels, but also what I talked about too is helping to support testosterone levels. So all of those different things. I talked about maca actually as an adaptogen, incorporating certain spices too, like turmeric, cinnamon, and ginger. They're actually adaptogenic spices. And they're also potent anti-inflammatories, antimicrobials, antivirals, and that's really important, especially now that the weather is changing and people tend to not feel so great. It's because your body, that's an extra stressor on your body. So you want to be able to support your body with those things in particular. Now, with that, I apply traditional Chinese medicine principles. I love traditional Chinese medicine, and the turmeric, cinnamon, ginger actually are part of those principles with food energetics that I try to implement to support hormones, to support mood, vitality, digestion. And in traditional Chinese medicine in particular, it's recommended that fall is a time for a reset and redo, and incorporating some foods that are going to help to support your system, particularly your liver, and your mitochondria too, to clear things out of the body and to welcome in the new season in particular. So some of the foods that I talked about are incorporated on something I like to call my 21-day cell ignite. Apparently, the crow is really excited about it. Somebody's excited about it. Yes. All right. Well, chatty crow aside, this 21-day cell ignite, it uses the power of whole foods to basically allow the body to clear those things out naturally, and also for it to generate its own energy so that you're functioning better, you're working better, you're thinking better, you're sleeping better, you're performing better, you're recovering better, and you feel like much better of a human being. I mean, hey, when you feel good and you have energy, you are just a great person to be around. And that is why I created this. I have done things in the past where it was protein powders and things like that that had the nutrients in it. It was just too much for me. So you use the nutrients from whole foods, and then we can actually incorporate some things in for nutrients that are going to help to support your body in the way that it needs to be supported. But this also starts with some basic principles. You can go all in the way that you need to go in, or you can meet yourself where you're at, and there are some basic guidelines for you to start from and to implement, particularly trying new foods, taking away certain foods, having more whole foods in your nutrition plan, more color, things like that, and incorporating the nutrients that I just talked about. I have found amazing results with this particular program. The first week you might feel a little but then by the second week, usually when I talk to people, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better. I'm feeling so much more energized. When I did this in the springtime, oh my gosh, I felt so much better. Actually, I was able to run the half marathon after. Yes, I understand that I got hurt after that, but that was a mechanical issue that we needed to fix. And that was my shoes as well. So it had nothing to do with my energy, but it also helps you to grasp what a balanced nutrition plan is to support your body in the way that it needs to be supported. Now, I have a program in Google Docs. It basically explains how to work through the whole entire program and how you can start to either go in as deep as you want, or you can start with where you're at, and then there's just some things that we implement. Then we have a WhatsApp group, and we share recipes with each other, which there are some really good recipes in there, talking about zinc and fiber. I don't know if this is a recipe in there, but this is a recipe that I actually gave to one of my clients recently. Since it is coming up to fall, a nice pumpkin soup with a little bone broth. Bone broth has some great components in there that to help and support your gut, and actually to help support your liver too. So completely beneficial. And protein is important also when you're doing a program like this. Little bone broth, you get some non-dairy yogurt in there as like a cream base, and you put some pumpkin seeds on there. Oh my gosh, that is a fully functional dish that is going to be so supportive to your body. And there's several more recipes like that. So it's a 21-day cell ignite. It's whole foods. It's incorporated. It can also incorporate some other nutrients too, but it's not just it's not starving yourself. It's not a juice cleanse. It's not just protein shakes. It's really helping you to start to grasp onto a nutrition plan that is sustainable for you and to really get your body functioning optimally again. This is just the foundation. So if that sounds like something that maybe you need to look into for fall, maybe your energy levels are starting to kind of go down. Maybe your focus is all off. Maybe you're slowing down. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe you're noticing that you're not getting faster each week when you're training. Or maybe you've noticed that you're not able to do things that you were able to do before. You feel like you're retaining a little bit more water. Maybe there's a little bit of weight loss resistance. Then this is going to be the program that is going to really help you to jumpstart for the fall and help you to feel really great, so that you're going out there, you're able to go on bike rides and runs, and you're able to go apple picking with the family, and making recipes with those apples, and doing all those fun fall things those are just some of the hiking. those really fun things that you have been kind of feeling like the energy isn't there. So 21-day Cell Ignite, I would highly recommend that we schedule a 1-hour strategy call. I'll give you a little bit more information about it, and then we'll get you in on the program. So that is going to be at the end of September that we are starting. There might be some wiggle room there, end of September, maybe early October. In particular, September 21st is the first day of fall, and I know people kind of want to get acclimated, and I know that at what happens at the end of October, but this will be a great time to just go into the rest of the season and feeling your best. So if that sounds like you, I would absolutely love to speak with you. If you've just been feeling like complete crap and you want some guidance on how you can start putting some of these tools into place. Oh, and another thing that's a really good tool, grounding. I know I said that at the beginning, but grounding, that's what I really needed today. I'm in front of my computer, I'm in front of my phone, that's the EMF, and I've been noticing a little bit more sensitivity to EMF. So by grounding, that's helping to counteract any sort of the negative effects of the EMF, and it's helping my body to just kind of calm down. Like, I've actually felt very much calmer since doing this. So I highly recommend something. Start small. Walk barefoot out on the grass. I have friends that hike barefoot, going in the lakes, doing whatever you can to be outside and to be in nature so that your body literally just calms down. Okay, well, so summary. Progesterone and testosterone, they are very important, for they have some they're pretty similar in what they do, but it's very important that we do have them balanced. If they're imbalanced, then our body starts to talk to us that we lack focus, mood. It starts to go down. We start to get, for the women with progesterone, we get PMS symptoms. We start feeling a general sense of malaise. We just are not happy campers when our hormones particularly are out of balance. So some of the nutrients that I talked about, maca powder, fiber, and probiotics, there's specific probiotic strains that actually are second-handedly helping with the production of estrogen and progesterone. So cool. Particularly lactobacillus acidophilus. That's why I recommended the fermented foods. And then magnesium and zinc in particular. So pumpkin seeds have both the magnesium and the zinc. Chocolate also does too. So yes, dark chocolate is very, very good superfood for balancing out your hormones. All right. Well, again, my name is Drew Mulvey. I am the vitality specialist. I have a background with a master's in human nutrition. I'm a board certified nutrition specialist through the American Nutrition Association, which is more integrative health and alternative care, integrated into the nutrition and kind of dietetics space. I'm also a certified integrative sports nutritionist, which integrates, or it ties together sports nutrition, integrative health, and functional medicine all together. I utilize those as well as life coaching and personal training to really help you to understand what's going on in a biological and a cellular level, to really help you to perform your best and to feel your best, and really help you to feel more in control of those things too, because a lot of us don't. If that sounds like you, sign up for that 1-hour strategy session already. It's completely free, and you'll get some very specific tips on how you can support your hormones, how you can change your nutrition in little bitty bits, maybe some nutrients that you might need, some lifestyle things, and maybe some exercise things, depending on where your goals are at. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to be in the, this is Facebook, so it's going to be in the comments below. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming today. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I really needed to ground today. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to speaking with all of you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.